They got it, they solicit, so I just keep.
Well, that's all right, that's good, to have a little, you know,
You keep program line, right?
I try.
He's a good man.
Yeah, he's quite capable.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's willing to do the homework to learn. Yeah,
He's been good for us.
yeah, very much so, very much so.
Yeah, that's been.
Yeah.
Now
You
you're
know,
talking.
yeah, especially this family, like,
Oh, wasn't he? And all that?
Now, 2-3 days out doing it, just like,
Yeah.
and you know, nothing against them, right? So they're in a hurry. And that's not the way to work. I'm running accounts here.
Yeah, it's been real good.
Good to see you, buddy. Look. Oh, yeah. No, I don't think people.
Okay, we'll call the meeting in order.
Good for the full call.
We have a quorum.
Huge.
Yeah.
Chairman?
First thing we'll do is we'll have some esteemed guests that will go around and you introduce yourself, give a brief description while you're botting up.
Chip Aiken, with Structure Architects, we're the project manager for the new Tioga Milk Ingredients project.
Brian Lenny, Cayuga Milk Ingredients, so that's the new CEO. We're here to show you our project today.
Ricardo Galvado, attorney for the IDA.
Doug Wayne on the potential land purchase that I want to talk about.
Carl Reinfeld, Q County Water and Sewer Authority.
Ryan Plan, I'm on the CETA board.
Katie Moran, CETA.
Laura LaGreca, CETA.
Paul Vajano, CETA. Peter King, CETA.
That's fair, yes.
Herb Marshall, member of the IDA.
Paul Lattimore, IDA. I'm Shane, member of the IDA. Legislator and planning and economic development chairman.
Morning Reister.
McNally, IDA director.
Ray Lockwood, chairman of the board. Okay, well, reading and approval of the minutes of previous meeting. I move we approve the minute. Thank you. Additions, corrections, comments? All in favor? Any opposed? Carries. Bills, communications.
Okay, you've got 3 bills in your packet there, Harris Beach, NYSEG, and CNS. The NYSEG bill is actually for 0 because I accidentally put it in twice in April, so we don't owe them anything at all this month. We've received a letter, or we received a payment from Finger Lakes Railroad, which we have cut, and it will be going out tomorrow to the various school districts and municipalities. And towards the back of your packet, you have an email from Angela Janik from Danable and McKee, which is basically confirming that we've done what needed to be done to wrap up the year. It's like the second to last sheet in the packets there. So this just verifies, she says, blah, blah, the numbers for the year ending December 31st, 2022, per QuickBooks agree without exception to the audited financial statements at this time. And then the second part of that, she's talking about a journal entry. There was something that they found after they had done the ADA audit that looks to them like somebody made some kind of an entry after the audit had been turned into them and completed. So they've given me a journal entry, which I have entered. It doesn't affect CCIDA, but it's in as of January 1st of this year, so that we will be starting out in the right place for the rest of the year, so that won't be an issue when audit time comes again. So, but otherwise, they basically are comfortable that all the journal entries have been entered in and the numbers reconcile with theirs. And I think that's all I can talk about. I don't know if Mike has anything to add.
The
Couple other things here is invoice from Harris Beach as well as Mark and CNS companies. I know Justin is looking to join right now. I haven't heard directly from Mark if he's able to join for today, but he did supply it's in the board packet here and noted elsewhere. In unfinished business is their phase 2 services agreement proposal for the board's consideration. And last item here is we received a letter from Bonshine and King. This is very quick. From the town of Aurelius, DPW is looking to put in a parking lot here. And for them to be the project sponsor or lead, they're just looking for permission from the IDA. Which I would think be a non-issue, but would need board's approval. That's all I have on the building communications section.
Motion to pay our bills.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Questions on the bill? All in favor? Any opposed? Carried. You want to take action on that? The park on
I don't think we'll need a resolution.
Okay. Report to treasurer.
So you've got a P&L for this month there. We do have a negative bottom line. That's primarily because we made 2 large payments and didn't really have much that we could claim as income. So we paid that $7,000 administrative services payment to CETA. And we had a bill from Harris Beach that the 2 of those added up to $14,000. So that skewed it a little towards the negative this month, but there's not a lot in there. As you can see, there isn't a lot of activity at this point. So that's basically what it is.
Motion to approve the treasurer's report.
So moved.
Thank you. Discussion on treasurer. All in favor? Aye. Carried. Mr. Stair. I'll give a rundown of what you got in mind.
Well, I made my presentation last time and wondered if the board at any time to consider it, and if you had any additional questions that. I'm here to answer the additional questions and engage in further discussion if there is interest.
Because I don't know any better.
Okay.
I have no business setting a price on your property, but I think what you were asking is more than I think we can pay for it. I would propose instead of $10,000 an acre, $8,000 an acre. And give you a check for $100,000 for an option for. I would like 4 years. I think we could get support to do that, and I don't think it's just me now. I don't think there's support for the higher amount, Mr. Steer.
Okay, I'll discuss that with my wife.
If you don't mind, and let us know what you think, because I think we are somewhat anxious to try to get some property in that area. We had 2 concerns that showed some interest in putting a facility there.
I see. So it'd be 8,000 an acre 4 years from now.
I would say the option for 4 years gives us a chance to see if we can't do something, but we would pay you the $8,000 an acre as soon as we see an activity that was generated there that we could go ahead and buy it. So the final price would not necessarily be in 4 years. It could be in a year or 2 years.
I see.
Herb, at the end of the meeting, would you want to go in executive session, maybe to get some direction and then we can set up a point person to communicate with him.
That's why I just don't want to hold.
No, yeah.
I think he's anxious to know
Sure.
what he's going to do there and.
But someone could get back to him
It's easy
tomorrow,
For
yeah.
us just not to do anything, and I thought that would be a place that he could at least, consider.
We're also considering other properties too.
Yeah, and absolutely.
And
So
would that also be where similar, I would hold a note on that?
I think we could work with you any way you wanted us to minimize your tax liability on that.
Well, we could probably borrow the money cheaper.
But I don't know what rate he's at.
What rate can you borrow money for? What rate can you borrow money for?
I haven't. We should talk. I'm not as prepared, Mr. Stern, as I could be.
We could-
should talk with.
I
our
think we were
contractor.
planning, I think we were planning on going to executive session at the end of the meeting. We have some other presentations. And then maybe somebody from the board or our executive director could get back to you. With maybe some, I don't want to call it a letter of interest, but maybe what type of line items we're talking about. Andy can do something.
Andy had been one who I think
Sure.
originally contacted him.
Well, it was me, Ray, and.
Okay,
Yeah.
we could have Andy or Ray contact. you,
Okay.
Maybe tomorrow or before the end of the week, so you could discuss it with your wife.
Yeah, that'll work.
If there's interest from the board.
Thank you for coming
Well, thank
back.
you for considering this and something that could be positive for the town of Springport, given the other type of development that's going on there.
We have done some investigation. Apparently, the Union Springs sewer system is adequate at this time
Mhm.
to handle. It wouldn't handle another milk plant, but it would handle any normal amount of sewage disposal, and there is water there.
Yeah. That's encouraging for the community. Okay,
Thank you for your time.
well,
Thanks.
thank you.
Thank you. Well, you done.
Okay, yeah, Doug Wayne, you may recall last fall I discussed and asked you to consider buying some property that's right adjacent to my house. Approximately, it could be 15 to 18 acres, depending on how the parcel might be surveyed. And so I wanted to reintroduce that. I talked to Ray a couple different times and said that you had a lot on your agenda and you really hadn't had time to think on it more, so I just wanted to have you reconsider that and see if there's
I don't know
something we can do.
how much I'm supposed to know, but apparently the new owners of the mall have shown some interest in that entire parcel.
Okay,
And
don't know.
I do too much talking, Ray. Just for me, you approached us and I would, if they really are interested in it, in that parcel, I would tell them that you are interested in,
Yeah.
kind of have first choice on the amount next to you, and probably the price would determine how much you, maybe not, maybe you want it no matter. That's none of my.
Well, I don't want to say it that way, but I do.
No. I know you have a very nice place there. And you
Yeah, it's
want- you
right,
want to
right
own
next to my home,
it.
so
You want to own the property next
Yeah,
to you, and
that's what I'd like to do.
we appreciate that.
But does anybody need,
Yeah.
just for the board, yeah,
Thank you.
it's 2 copies there for.
Thanks very much.
I've talked with Mike, several of the board members. I've expressed my desire that. We would like to see you protect your property around that.
I appreciate that. So I just, again, wanted to reintroduce that to the board, if you can evaluate it, and if you have a number that you think would be reasonable to the IDA, then let me know, and
I would think we would see if the other thing develops at all, and then we would get, your business has been one of the most successful businesses that we've dealt with.
well, thank you.
And we really look forward to working with you.
All right, well, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
So I'll leave it at that and just wait to hear from you folks. Okay,
Yeah, but I think we're kind of on the upside on the sewer line, so we could focus a little more broadly on some of these other items.
yeah.
Thank you, Doug.
All right, thank you, appreciate it. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you very
Take care,
much.
Carl. Pardon?
Thank you very much.
Yeah, take care, Paul.
Thanks, Doug. Okay, about some, speaking of sewer line, the update, the CNS phase 2.
So, we've been in contact with the EDA, and I do know. Fortunately, Mark's not able to join us here, but he does have, no contract out to. Highlander right now for them to get completed, and once that's done, we can get that over to the EDA. We've been through that a number of times. Once they get that, it's my understanding we're gonna have a notice to proceed. Justin or Rick, anything off base with that there?
Um,
Not on my end. I think we're just looking to finalize the contract and get EDA's blessing to move forward.
we don't have approval from the grant people yet.
It's been awarded, but we do need to finalize the contract with the awarded. Contractor Highlander, and once that's done, we'll then be able to have notice to proceed.
In our last meeting, if I remember correctly, we instructed Mark to talk with Highlander and see if, as long as we accepted the low bid, that they would go ahead and order the pumps that are going to be final waiting time on, and the generators for the pumps, which are almost a 6-month waiting time. And dealing with the electric company is next to an impossible thing, and the contractor has to do that. You know, if Mark has contacted them and if they were.
That's my
willing
knowledge.
to do that.
That's my knowledge.
When have you spoke with them?
We were in contact last week briefly. And he was making pretty input on some of the back and forth he had with Highlander. And we were also, it's difficult, we're trying to make sure we're setting up the par with EDA and stuff, so we make sure that was wrapped up as well.
Anything further?
Well, one other thing here. And this might sound like it's a little early to start worrying about it, but we should almost engage the water authority. And start figuring out how we're gonna transition it over. First year's operating budget. The rates and so forth. And I wonder, we probably should have Rick take the lead on that.
I mean, just the logistics.
You know,
Yeah.
but I would assume the water authority's gotta come up with an operation budget. For the first year and. You know, figure out the rates and all that stuff. And then the whole process of turning it over to the water authority.
And we have the methodology that was adopted by this board
But
that Doug Selby presented that we can look at and use that as a base for both boards.
yeah, and I think Doug's his was on the capital costs.
Mhm.
They'll also have to be in.
Of course.
You know, the rate, the sewer rates themselves.
Okay.
But, you know, it'll be quick enough that it'll. Well, maybe not.
It would be nice to see them digging out there, and then we can worry about how much we want to charge for it.
No, you can't start early enough, I think.
And include the phase 2 service agreement. So we're done with this,
Sorry,
we're done with the sewer line discussion.
I suppose you could, the last item there is that we got the COPC loan closed this morning as well, so those monies are available.
And how about the CNS? Okay, sorry, go ahead. Apologize.
Well, as Mr. Lockwood was just about to jump to is Mark did submit the phase 2 services agreement from CNS companies. It's just 2 pages, it's right there in your packet, it's everything you talked about from the prior meeting. And number here that I'll highlight, specific language being, we propose to perform the services described above for a not to exceed fee of $38,000 for phase 2 here. And that's for all the maintenance of oversight of phase 2 of the project. As well as review of all requests, doing all those check-ins, working with the IDA and myself, making sure we're following the EDA and the SD guidelines. And keeping the overall project on schedule as best possible here.
He was gonna, I thought, give us a proposal for being a full-time inspector and part-time. Is that full-time?
This is the, if memory serves properly, this was the part-time.
Part-time.
Yeah, that's what we discussed last month.
Did we decide to go with part-time then?
But he said that any issues, he would be, he or his engineer person would be available to go out on site.
And I think that we said someone would be there every single week.
Right.
And
And the,
right, and as needed.
any further discussion on CNS phase 2 or updates from sewer lines? Need updates?
Here. All right, from the CETA side of things, or relating to the IDA, all that Paris reporting that was submitted at the end of March now, the state auditor is just getting back with follow-up questions that I'm working through right now. Nothing in particular that's dumped up is particularly out of line. It's just more kind of crossing T's, dotting I's, but I will inform the board of any issue on that. Quick update from the solar projects is we had completed our analysis for them and have gone back a little bit between folks from Sun East doing projects in the town of Ledyard and the town of Scipio, as well as the PGA Community Solar Project over in Moravia there. I actually just during this meeting today have gotten a couple of follow-up from them, so we'll hopefully be able to get those things moving along and get the public hearing set up over this next month. Both of those companies, applicants, are looking for a little bit of speed on this here, but we certainly don't want to rush it for the sake of rushing it. Couple other things, I've been working with Maureen on site analysis and outreach as well that we can discuss later in this meeting here, but Maureen in particular has prepared some information to discuss with the board. I've also had a discussion with Justin and property owner over this last week as well, that we can share in more detail later in the meeting. I was able to get you, Andy, some information from Mr. Thurston. Hopefully that was useful for you there. A little bit on my depth, but it's certainly doing good one.
Yeah.
And I promise I didn't ask anything about homes.
No, it's just thought there was
And last item I'll mention here is that both Maureen and I are going to be up in Cooperstown next week for the annual EDC conference there. We're really looking to help or solidify some contacts, make some new ones up there, but one of the things that I certainly expect, and I'm sure Maureen will agree with me here, is that the amount of interest that's in central New York right now is very, very strong. I've been getting more and more solicitation over the last couple of months here with renewed interest in central New York. So I think it would be nice to walk around with the tag saying Cuban County at this meeting here. So about that, but oh yeah, please.
So. Like on the name of the electric company, Randy from.
Yeah.
Nap Electric is the one who has been out there troubleshooting the lights. If you're familiar, there's 8 poles on the west side and 8 on the right, the east side. And there was a short pause in one of the poles on the west side, the whole line was out. And I think the problem was a bird's nest had gotten in there, so they segmented off that one, the rest of the lights should be on. They're looking into, some possible upgrades and what's gonna take to get all 8 working, or all 16 working again, so. That's kind of in the midst of things, but it should be a little brighter, not as bright as it needs to be completely, but it should be better for now.
Pretty reasonable price.
It was, yeah, so.
We haven't gotten the bill yet, but we were told that'd be a good reasonable price to get everything prepared out there. I couldn't see anything. Any questions?
Thank you. Danny.
Oh, it's up to you.
Yeah.
Please, Kenny.
Danny.
Okay, all right.
Oh, excuse me.
It's okay.
Too many people here.
I want to introduce our chair, Neil Redmond. He just came here, so he's in charge of our board for KU Milk Ingredients. Rod, you want
I'm supposed to introduce you.
to? That's right, that's what you heard. Even Rod Ives, he's our expert witness. Got his stuff with him. I got a lot of people here that know the answers, so in case you ask anything hard. I've been here about 6 months. I wanted to make sure that we talked about the project, because I guess there was some question about whether we were going to go forward with the project. So I want to make sure everybody knows we are going forward with the project. It's actually been a little bit quiet because I got here and we took a look at the scope and the business plan. And with the cost of construction doing what it was doing and having one production line in the plant, we're having a little problem with pro forma and making sure it could actually work from a business model standpoint. So I guess being new to the thing, I thought I'd change it. So we have rescoped the business, came up with a new business, we'll call it plan and pro forma, and that requires a different building and a different process. We're not going to get into all the details of that, but we do want to talk a little bit about just who we are and I guess what you want to talk about who we are, if you want me to do it, do the best shots. I mean, Canadian company.
But yeah.
So. I'm just gonna read the dinner if you're okay with that, okay. So there's 32 farms, 21 owners.
Are you passing some more?
Oh, yeah. Channel, you guys, I'll pass it up. I didn't want to give them out later. You guys always read ahead. Some of them have some updated information, so this one had. I wasn't sure, I guess I don't have enough coffee, sorry.
Some of the board members now. Yeah.
Okay. You don't want to hear?
No.
So we have 32 farms, most of them are within 25 miles, I say most of them. All. Do a little over 1.4 billion pounds of milk a year. And we have 65,000 acres, very local. I mean, this plant that we built, that's on 15 Eagle Drive now. An ingredient plant, these are the farms that own us. So they decided to build the first plant and now they're deciding to build the second plant. And so the face of those guys are right here. The next page, I actually have it on a flash drive. If you can see it up there, I'm not really sure. Yeah, we're good. Yeah, okay. Yeah. So the next page talks about the state of the art ingredient business. So the business we're in now is an ingredient business. So the ingredient business in the dairy sector anyway, is big bags of powder, of totes of powder, and we ship it all over the world. We ship it to Asia, China, Mexico, Middle East, all over Europe. And so basically, this is a global business because of the milk powders, and it can move a lot of milk too. So just like the rest of the United States, we're exporting most of our milk powders. I think somewhere around 70% of the milk powder produced in the United States get exported, and that's similar to us. It was a way to make sure that if we were close to the milk, close to the farms, and we could process it, and the hauling costs were really good for the farms, and that's really what the whole business model was about. What we're building now is a consumer products plant. So the consumer products plant has finished goods. So an ingredient plant sells it to someone who makes something out of it. So we have tanker loads of cream, tanker loads of ultra filtered milk or condensed milk. And we ship it to someone like a yogurt maker or an ice cream maker, or someone that makes half and half and whipping cream, what have you. And so we sell a lot of different things domestically. So the tankers of fluid products are really a domestic product. And the powder products are really primarily an export product, but we do sell a lot domestically to distributors and brokers here. And so that business is a completely sector, but it sells to people that make something out of it. So if you eat Chobani yogurt, you probably eat some of our product that goes into that, for example. They make the yogurt, we sell them stuff to make the yogurt with. The new consumer products plants is going to be a finished goods product line. It's going to be able to do single serve milks, it's going to do cartons of milk, there'll be plastic bottles of products. And so it's going to have long shelf life, and it's going to be products that you could find in a Wegmans or a Walmart, or even at Starbucks, you know, that they're serving with. So it's a finished product, completely really different side of the business. Even though they're both dairy business, they're completely different parts of the business, which means it's more diversification, less risk long-term for the dairy farmers that own it. But it also has a little bit higher margin in this business than the other business. The other business is really what we call a commodity business. This is more of a, we'll call it value added, like I say, value added. So when we go into this, we're going into like a different business. That's really been my background. Like my background was consumer products before I came here, I was with Maryland, Virginia. I was in charge of consumer products for them. And I also Darigold, I was in charge of consumer products for them up in the Seattle area. I ran all their business for the consumer products plants for about 14 years. But in general, this plant that we're going to be building, it's just been put on pause a little bit, primarily because of me. I think there was some stuff that happened last year, but we want to make sure that you know we're going forward. And I think there were some questions about that. We'll answer any questions you have. But basically, we have an ingredient business. We want to buy 4 lots, put the new plant on, and it's going to be a consumer products business. We'll show you kind of how it gets laid out. But in general, we can expand from there as well. We can continue to expand that business as we go forward. And it's a much bigger building and much bigger, robust business plan that goes with it. I'm going to let Chuck talk about Structura, if you want to.
Sure.
Structura is the people that are going to be basically in charge of the project. They just got done with a plant down in West Virginia in Morgantown called Mountaintop Beverages. You can Google it and look it up. It's a brand new plant that's actually commissioned in the last couple of weeks. I think the first shipment was last week.
Yes.
That they put out. It's an ESL aseptic facility as well. Very similar to what we're doing. So this is the kind of things they do. So I'll let you talk about Structura and then I'll go into kind of the plant, what we're doing.
Yeah, we've been around for about 25 years. We specialize in these type of facilities. The one we just completed was about 336,000 square feet. This one's slightly smaller than that, but generally along the same terms. What we are trying to do is just basically try to we specialize in just making these things happen. It's a very complicated process. It's a lot that goes into it. You're doing something that is relatively simple, but it takes a very complicated process to actually get it done. So there's a lot of things that are going on. So we were brought in approximately 3 to 4 months ago. And we were able to take what was already there and to improve it slightly and in order to get a little more along the lines of what the business plan for the facility was. So
just a little bit of background.
Yes,
Structura basically is an expert from a technical standpoint about these kinds of plants. So you need technical expertise on like flows or the type of processors you need or the types of valves you need. That's what these guys do. So I mean, we really need to have someone that really knew this business really well. Was also required to a certain degree that we had someone like yourself, but feel very comfortable. I've done 3 different projects with them in the past, so very comfortable with their capabilities. We wanted to make sure that we had more flexibility, more capabilities. It's not just one filling line, but the building itself has more capabilities. If we're going to be a co-manufacturer, we're not coming out with a big brand. We're not like Fairlife. I know a lot of you guys probably just saw the announcement on Fairlife last week. We're not a big brand owned by Coca-Cola. We're going to be packing for other people, whether it's a private label or someone like a Chobani or someone like a Wegmans that wants a product made, we'll make it for them. So that requires being somewhat more flexible and being able to do various things, and that's what this business plan is going to be.
You can compete.
I think we can. Yeah. They're going to be doing things, and it's the same sector, but they're going to be doing things in the branded space, and we'll be doing things in more of a private label or.
Is it true that they're trying to buy the dairies also to supplement their thing there?
I know that they're going to be very involved with farms that they're going to be shipped from.
That's a little scary.
Very involved, but I can't talk about it too much, but that's all I can say. I mean, Coca-Cola's gigantic beverage company that they don't know anything about milk, so. We think we can compete, but we're gonna be swimming around and we're not gonna try to take it head on. So we needed something a little bit more flexible, a little more nimble. The next page, which is this page, and I know none of you have this, but this is the one that shows where it is on the land. And it shows where the lots are. Our current building is the white building that's there. It's about 110,000 square foot building. Our current facility actually has about 95 employees. This one will have about 80 employees to 85. We actually will probably end up closer to 100 employees by the end of the year on our new on our existing facility. The facility that's being on there, the dark shadow, is going to be about 220,000 square feet, so about twice the size of the existing building. And the lighter box is actually where we could possibly expand if we wanted to expand. So lots 1, 5, 6, and 7 are part of this program, right?
And part of the lot 99.2, I think it is. The Eagle Drive, I don't want to.
No, that's fine. It's just to the technical.
Yeah, it's just that little portion that's would be Eagle Drive in the future, that the IDA still owns. So it's, I believe, 5.
In lot 4 too, right?
And
Comes,
you go there if you want, I'm.
well, as part of the, when we close, it'll be on that as well. And that's mostly for parking, but as far as the building itself, it'll be involved with 1, 5, 6, and 7. You can see where that's laid out. So we plan on moving forward with this this summer. Depends on if we get approvals from folks like you and the town of Aurelius. This is a really good thing for the community. We're going to be adding jobs. We're going to be adding a lot of contractor jobs. How many contractors do you think will be involved in?
We'll max out with around 270 to 300 at any one time. It'll be, obviously, we'll start off slower and then it'll pick up with somewhere around 300. And then that's actual people working on it. Local. Almost all local. And there are obviously certain things that we can only get done that are not available local, but obviously we have a local contractor in mind. We have local subcontractors that will be working for them. They do all of their own self-perform work, so they'll have to keep everything within.
Is there some kind of a schedule as to when we're coaching your county for the commissions and?
The town zoning board meeting is meeting on June 6th.
Yeah, we're looking to submit to the town next week to make our initial presentation. But we're approaching this as we're amending our original application, because we did submit for the prior project. So now we're just going in saying we're amending that application.
Did you already have approval for the original?
No, we did not.
Okay, so this is not set that back at all, you're just amending what you're.
Correct. And our approach is being that, we thought that more of, there's engineering that we had to tweak, there's things that we had to revise. So that's why this is an amended application versus a brand new application. And so what the schedule we're looking at is June 6th is that first planning board meeting with the town of Aurelius. And then we're trying to get them to. They've already declared themselves lead agent for seeker, so we're just trying to pick up from there. So hopefully we can get in that deck in July.
You don't have a timetable on that yet, do they have to review that over two meetings or 3 meetings?
Well, as long as there's no issue from their side, so with the initial application, there was no objection to the town planning board being the lead agent for seeker. So going in as an amendment, we're assuming there's that they will continue to be the lead agent, and as long as we then satisfy them as far as giving them all the information they need to accurately assess the environmental impact. There's no time frame
for them, like, there's no 60-day window that they have to issue that seeker at this point. I mean, it's kind of we've got to make sure that we've answered all their questions so that they can provide that negative declaration. We don't want to rush them and say, make that decision, because that might put us in, go down, we don't want to go down. Sure.
If I ask a question you don't want to answer, that's perfectly all right. You changed the size of the building. It's considerably larger, but somewhat less expensive type of construction. Is that reasonably?
Well, if you go to the next page, it'll show the difference in the original building versus the building that. Well, yeah, you're perfect flow of your question. So the segue is perfect. This was the original building.
Yeah.
The lower one, and this is the new building. And it's just a little more linear and a little bit bigger warehousing and a little bit more flexibility in how we can do things because there wasn't as much room in this. And because we have a few more lines, we'll be able to fill those in. Basically, the original was about 144,000 square feet. This is 221,000 square feet. It was still bigger than the original building, which was about 110. So it's still both big buildings. We're going to have some changes to how we did it, and the way we're going about it is a less expensive process for the building because it's larger. It's per square foot, but a little bit less expensive. I'll let you speak to how you're able to do it.
We are able to, we've developed certain efficiencies, as you can imagine. Anything that any of you do, we do it for the first year, it is difficult. You do it 5 years, you start to get pretty good at it. By the time you get to 20, 25 years, you understand exactly how to do those things. And we develop those things. We've had relationships with people that we need to have relationships with in order to make it happen. So I already know before we've even put pen to paper exactly how we can instruct every person out there to do exactly what we need them to do in order to get things done correctly.
And on the cost level that we're looking at.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's a bigger building, but it's basically about the same cost as it's going to be originally.
We've heard, I'm serious, that if I ask these questions and they're not appropriate, just don't. We've heard several numbers as to what the project, the total cost of the project might be. And with Kevin Ellis, that changed from here to there, but is it somewhere near what? Or
Once again, the next page. The next Just have a little segue right to the next page. You can see that it's about $170 million project. 221,000 square feet. It's gonna have 4 pillars, 85 new jobs, and basically can do some products both retail and food service. That's basically the business model.
I look at the page.
Yeah, you better ask. So once again, it's just kind of a high level, but yeah, very good project. And once again, diversifying risk for the owners of the company. So that they have more broader markets to go after. The consumer product business is pretty much 100% domestic. What we're in now, we're exporting a lot of what we're doing. So we have lots of different markets where we can move our milk to. And this is the part of the business. I'll talk a little bit about consumer products that's growing. So obviously Fairlife building a plant because there's growth in what they're doing. They're building a plant that's going to do fluid dairy products, fluid milk products. That part of the business is actually growing. So we're in the part that has some positive trends to it. So that's a good part of why we want to be involved. That's all I can tell you.
In your timetable is somewhat dependent upon how you get through the permit phase and really is that kind of
Yes.
I'm trying to get all these, but at what point are you going to need our approval or our agreement with you on the different aspects?
I'll realize. Get the answer to that.
Well, I wish Jared were here. He's getting the legal part of it. Our timetable, we would like to be under construction, breaking ground late August, early September. Obviously, Feeder Milk needs, or Feeder Marketing, Feeder Milk, Feeder Giant Holdings, whatever the entity is, needs to own that land so that we can get on there once we move there. So that would give you that number.
But I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, how the planning board, and we got about 3x. So like, there's sort of a, if we can get this, if we can get this, we can get this, and all those things seem very probable, then I think we can move fairly quickly with the town. But we just have to make sure that we're aware that that timeline has to be somewhat, but not sure.
We are a little bit ahead of the game in that we know what their engineer is looking for as far as to be able to refer or to recommend to the town planning board to issue the negative declaration. They gave us a comment letter for the last submission, so we're answering as much of that as we can next week. And before June 6th, we'll have more of that answered. And that by the time they're ready to be in a position to go through the secret process. And I don't know how much to that form. We'll have everything answered for them so that they can say everything's a small moderate impact, or we'll be able to mitigate any impact and get a negative declaration. Again, we'd like to get that in that July timeframe. Now, my understanding is this board needs that negative declaration from the town before it can move forward with any decisions. I may be off based on that, but that's what
there is.
Yeah, I think before we can do it, you need to get your thing done with the really ones.
right. And we're kind of in a
Right.
somebody's got to take a lead. And so the planning board is willing to go through that secret process. They would like us to have, or computer marketing to have some type of agreement that yes, if all the approvals happen, that the IDA and county legislature, legislature will abandon that part of Eagle Drive that needs to be abandoned for this project to go forward. The IDA will sell the land. They would like something in writing, but they realize that in order for them to get that in writing, the negative declaration must happen. So there's kind of a give and take, and the planning board as well.
I thought we had gone over that with Justin Miller, and we had agreed the parcels that they wanted to buy, and that we had agreed.
Yeah, we showed the town something, and
It wasn't adequate.
again, I'd have to defer back to the lawyers on that.
We've come to the numbers.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
don't know.
just as a quick reminder, sorry to jump in, we have an option agreement that was negotiated for a certain amount of acreage with a certain break price and a general layout of the building footprint. I can work with Jared Lust to kind of dial into where your assemblage needs have changed. I don't know if the amount of acreage and the number of lots has changed. And then take a look at your new building layout in terms of the footprint. We just want to make sure that the existing option agreement is still accurate, or if it needs to be amended, we can do that. That could be done pre-seeker just to document it on the IDA side. We also have a little bit of work to do on how a pilot will look and work. And ultimately, the IDA's final approval for your projects, much like everything else, is gated by seeker, as you pointed out. So once you have the planning board completing their job and adopting their seeker findings, the IDA can follow on with its project approval, and the county can follow on with its road discontinuance and any other public agency matters that you need to deal with. We can try to help you get through that process as well.
Justin, is there any problem with getting the language of the sale of the property to them so that the county accepts that? Can that be done fairly easy, or is it something?
I think there is a joinder letter that Justin arranged for.
Yeah, the option agreement that is in place and is signed right now between Eagle Drive Holdings and Cuba Mill, or pardon me, and the IDA, has a license agreement in it. You can go study and poke around and do all the engineering you need to do on those IDA properties. So you have joinder there. We also, because of that little dog leg of a county road is in the middle of your footprint, we worked with the county and they provided a joinder letter as well for that little slice. So I think you have all of the joinder and ability to apply to the planning board that you need. We need to figure out, I think, in the meantime, if your real property acquisitions from the IDA, are they changing? Are you looking at a different assemblage now?
No. My recollection was that agreement covered these 4 parcels, and then there was a 5th parcel that you wanted an option on or something that had something to do with the trucks. I don't remember.
Lot number 4.
That's a lot more.
Yeah, the Eagle Drive Holdings has the application in front of the IDA and an option for the main bottling plant addition. And then Cuga Milk Ingredients, as the continuing owner of the existing plant, has a separate smaller IDA application and LDA to acquire that lot number 4 on the northeast corner of the park. And I think that was supposed to be for a trucking depot or turnaround. That project's, I think, based on what I've discussed with Jared Lusk, that one's kind of working on its own timeline and may have some issues with water and sewer and things like that, that may suggest it's not going to move on the same pace, but is still moving, I think.
My understanding at the time, and I don't remember things as good as I should, I thought that you all were buying trucks to transport your milk and were hiring drivers for them and was doing some maintenance. And I think now it appears that you're contracting all of that. It's which one is correct?
A little of both. A little of both.
A little of both. So you're still partially in the trucking business, but
We own the trailers.
you own the trailer.
Yeah, and then Watt owns trucking.
So I didn't understand it. It's part of both.
Trailers are a little bit. Can't do the middle of that.
So you may still have a need for that other lot up there.
Yes.
Yeah, lot 4 is moving ahead rapidly.
Okay.
So, yes, they're on a separate timeline, but the lag is pretty much, they're gonna catch up to each other. We're doing the engineering for both as far as the site goes. Kind of simultaneously. And that's my clients telling me which one's more important, that's the one to work on.
Both.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure while all of you are here that we're not holding up the process for the business, that you have the documentation from Mr. Miller that you need, that they're saying.
Again, it's something that the town's attorney and Jared Lusk, CMI's attorney. I just need to make sure they're all on the same page, and the planning board chair is just like, his position is, as long as he's told by the town attorney that it's okay to move forward, he's gonna move forward. Okay,
I just don't want us to hold up that.
no, that's not the case.
Any other questions?
The last page is just the timeline that we're estimating, as long as we get all these approvals and all these things that happen over the next 60 days, we'll say. Obviously, really important things here and also at the town of Aurelius. We appreciate your support and wanted to make sure you knew we were still going forward, and we really are here.
Thank you all very much for taking time to come in, and we're very, very interested in the process.
So the last page of the most important, thank you.
Always got to end with that.
That's very good.
Any other questions for you? People? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good luck.
Your support.
Thank you very much for your time.
Yeah, we're gonna stop and see something about services. Have to get dinner.
Maureen, you had a presentation. Once we go into executive session, discuss possible acquisition of land.
Possible purchase and sale of real
I
estate.
don't know. Before we go into executive session, we've been several months. Putting together, and I think we'd like to blame you for it, but.
Sure you do.
The agreement be all the time, the agreement between us and CETA, is that? Is that finalized? Is that?
I gave the referendum to Michael
Yeah, so-
maybe a week or so ago. I'm not sure.
Yeah, the CETA board's in receipt of that contract. Our next board meeting is next Thursday morning. And we do need full board approval, so we'll circle back after that meeting.
After that meeting, if you could let us know.
Absolutely, I will do.
Thank you very much
Will
for
do.
attending our meetings.
Yes, absolutely.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
Have a good night. Okay. See you tomorrow.
Good night, gentlemen. See you tomorrow.
Awesome.
By the way, I ate your place Sunday and I didn't get the free ice cream. I kept telling him I know Rick and he goes, "Hey."
Good night, everybody.
Supposed to tell how much it costs.
Oh, right, something, I just heard something last week, so, all right, there, I know. Didn't see them all.
Everybody